and it was all graffiti, you couldn't see the paint. And this door opened on the 6th floor, and it was drenched in sun and beautiful, and there were people working quietly. And I just fell in love with it right away. And I thought, why didn't anybody in my town, in my country, think of the shared studio facilities where people just come into work instead of everybody buying their own presses and setting up their acids and, poisoning themselves with these things, where there could be places like this where you can affordably make work. So I volunteered for them for a while, used the press to make my own work. And one thing led to another. They wanted me to teach an Italian class, then they wanted me to print something for them, and so very soon I found myself having a printer role, although that's something I was never really trained for. So I juggled for a while a 2-day job at the print shop, my own artistic practice, and other jobs that I did for rent. Until the then director left, and there was a void, and of course, when you run a nonprofit, somebody has to write grant proposals, somebody has to pay bills on time, somebody has to change light bulbs and clean the blankets and presses. So I jumped in as a temporary replacement. And here I am. So that's the long and short of how I came into the business. And of course, along the way, I learned a ton as an artist and as a printmaker, but I also learned from the opposite side, from the side of a host to other artists, worrying about their needs that might not have been the same as mine. Master printers are magicians. I'm just a printmaker. I wouldn't dare say I'm a printer. So that's a separate little thing to explore. I admire them deeply. The whole publishing side is extremely, extremely interesting to me. And the variety of things that publishers and other nonprofits in New York City do is just amazing. Well, actually, not just in New York City, in this country too, is really amazing. I also had a chance to kind of expand a little bit on my role in printmaking by helping the print shop start to organize the editions and artist books fair last year. So now I not only work with artists, but I work with publishers, which gives me a great insight into what's going on, and it's an infinite pleasure and a privilege. Thank you.
It's hard to follow you. That's a great story. Never heard that. I actually did do residency also at the Lower East Side Print Shop, which got me to university. I'm an artist. I'm a painter. I silkscreen on paintings, and I do books and some prints. And my husband runs K-Rock screen printing, so we run that together. So I'll start you from the school from the beginning. I got a pretty classic painting education at Indiana University, and then went to American University in DC, and that's where I got into printmaking, and I taught at the Corcoran School of Art, just at one class. Loved silkscreen. Moved to Berlin, went to school there at the academy. So fun. Did graphic novels mostly, and small prints. Did some printmaking there. It's like a small community. So you can share a lot and do a lot of things. And then I went here and did the Lower East Side Print Shop. And that's when it started. I went and met K-Rock, who's my husband, and he was a long rocker with long hair. And doing it got so exciting. Yeah, the love story just got so exciting. So then we started focusing together from working on rock posters, which he mostly did, and he works with museums and musicians and doing books, that we focus on publishing. And we work with artists, invite them in, we give them prints, don't charge them anything, and we try to do 5 to 6 a year ourselves, and otherwise we publish for other people, and we do books. And so we're lucky to collaborate with a lot of people. The Museum of Modern Art has supported us and been really good, and we've done Now the Lower East Side Print Shop does the EAB fair, which is a wonderful way to share prints. And we just did Printed Matter Book Fair, which has been a really great way that the LA Book Fair has been really great the last few years, especially opening up more into showing our prints and our editions with younger artists. So we can do runs of 200 and they're $30 to start with, and people can afford it, they get really excited, the artists are excited to have the opportunity, and then they grow, you see how they get excited to learn how to do prints, and it's just the collaboration in general in printmaking is really exciting. Personally, I used it in my own work, but that's just my own punk rock way. I would not call myself a master printmaker either, but I'm kind of the more person who brings things together and ideas and the curation together. So, but that's my story.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Farrell. I recently started at the Metropolitan Guttenberg Arts, where I am the curator of modern and contemporary prints. Now, I've only been there about 3 months. I can't speak about the art collections as in-depth as other people here have, but I'll return to that in a minute. I think what's so interesting hearing everyone talk, and I'm thrilled to be going last, is that the words I keep hearing again and again, I think, inform why I was interested in prints and how I got interested in prints. And I keep writing down, everyone is saying collaboration, experimentation, political, democratic. And I think that those are really important principles for the art world in general. And they're kind of have been present in printmaking, or such a part of that. And so I went to Smith College undergrad. I was not part of the print program, and I think the print world is stronger for that. And I quickly, decided to go into art history and not fine art after reviewing my portfolio. But I did work on Manet, and I was really interested in Baudelaire and Guy and the idea of everyday life and what that could be. And I think that it's not by accident that later I became interested in some of the great prints that Tatiana Grossman did with Johns and Rauschenberg and others, that again, everyday life is such a central theme. And I think that I, at the time, didn't know it, but I was very interested in how prints were being used by people like the Guerrilla Girls and WAC and the political dimension of printmaking. And what was so interesting is I don't think anyone thought of it as fine art at that time, but it was a way to disseminate the message, and those wonderful kind of printed paper bags with the gorilla face that Guerrilla Girls used to protest the opening of the Guggenheim Museum, and it was just so spot on. It was so powerful and witty and wonderful, and I still have mine. And then also the posters that they made about the statistics, the rather grim statistics for a representation of women in galleries and museums. And those are these iconic images. And I think that speaks to the power of printmaking, but I wasn't thinking of it as prints at the time. I was thinking of it because of the activist potential. I guess formally I got interested in prints because I was asked to do a talk at Christie's on abstract expressionist printmakers. And when I mentioned that to many friends, they said, I didn't know abstract expressionist artists make prints because it seems so different than the idea of the lone male genius alone in the studio is the collaborative and the process. And so that was just absolutely fascinating. From there, of course, a deeper exploration of Grossman and others. And then I was a lecturer at MoMA, and I was able to do lectures on their wonderful print exhibitions, especially the ones that Debbie Wide put together, Kiki Smith, and really just how powerful and strong and the deep support. I wrote my dissertation on Daniel Buren, and so there's an artist who is making posters that he refers to as paintings and putting them out in the world, so literally part of the world. And of course, Atelier Populaire, and again, print is becoming a central form. And then I went to, when I finished, I actually met with Jan Sorsman, who's not here now, but she is here in spirit because she curated this wonderful show around here on monoprints, and she spoke to me about what printmaking could be and potential for printmaking. And I think that's something that's really interesting is the idea of mentorship, which is, word of mouth and women